Welcome to Today in Prophecy Daily News in 15 minutes or less. It's news from the perspective of the Bible. Well, the Pope, he looks like he may not be with us much longer. We're watching the story. As of right now, he is still alive. But check this out. Also, Rand Paul introduces a bill to permanently defund Planned Parenthood. Those stories and more coming up in just a minute. But I wanted to invite you to the Core Church in Los Angeles this coming Sunday. I will be there. I'll be speaking at the morning services. It would be great. It's near the Beverly Hills area. Check it out at the events page at hopeforourtimes.com or on the app. And then also I want to invite you to join us for the Seder. That'd be the Passover meal and presentation. It's going to be at 412 Church in Temecula in Southern California, coming up on Good Friday, April 18th. Listen, folks, this is going to be an absolutely fantastic time. We're going to celebrate the Passover. We're going to have some great food. We're going to have great fun. We're going to have incredible music. We have worship also that's going to be, as we're going to be led in worship by Israeli worship musician Josh Aaron. He's coming over to join us. The event will not be on YouTube. It's not going to be live streamed anywhere, not even on the website. It's in person only. If you want to join us, please do. There's a full catered meal also, and all of the proceeds are going to a ministry that is in the old city of Jerusalem that reaches both Jew and Arab with the hope of the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ. So it's a great benefit time also, benefit worship time, dinner, and it is a Seder or a Passover, which is the meal that Jesus was celebrating with his disciples at the Last Supper. It's just an incredible time, great insight. Hope that you can join us. Check out the info at hopeforourtimes.com. But let's get going. All right, so the Pope doesn't look like he's going to be around much longer, this article says. As Francis lingers in critical condition, an anxious wait intensifies. Vatican City is an anxious place. Clergy keep their phones by their pillows. Reporters crammed in the Holy See press office. Open emails and trepidation. Faithful have begun to gather expectantly in St. Peter's Square. All await terse bulletins from the Vatican on the condition of Pope Francis, who remains critical after being taken to a hospital 11 days ago with bronchitis that developed into pneumonia in both lungs. We're watching this. Listen, it looks to me like it's going to be some really big news. Personally, I'm not thinking it looks like he's going to be around much longer. But what's going to happen when he does go? Will there be another pope? There were predictions several years ago based on some predictions centuries ago that this pope would be the last pope. Will there be another pope? Well, we'll wait and see what actually happens this time around. Will this pope be around much longer? And given that, who will be the next pope if he's not? And will there be another pope? Interesting things. And also when we go back to the previous pope, Pope Benedict, he resigned. He is the first pope in 600 years that ever resigned. So you look at him and go, okay, why did he resign? Lots of speculation has been on his resignation for a long time. People have speculated, quite frankly, that he was about ready to expose things within the Catholic Church. He was opposed to open borders. He was opposed to gay marriage. That was a problem. It went against what the Vatican was wanting to do. He was a Jesuit that died many years ago, Father Malachi Martin, and he wrote about the corruption within the Vatican. And he said the Vatican was so corrupt that most of the individuals there now, most of the men there now, they don't even believe in the virgin birth of Christ. They don't believe that Jesus is the Messiah. And he said it is basically just an absolute cesspool. And then with this, according to his lawyer, Pope Benedict's lawyer, Christina Aru, said that the Pope said he had seen many ugly things inside the Vatican. At a certain point, he couldn't take it anymore, and so he looked for a way out. He says he saw lies being told. He thought that the Pope was being kept in the dark regarding key events. Those are words from some of those quoting what the Pope Benedict has said, couldn't take anymore. Some reports said that he was about ready to expose child molestation within the Vatican and within the Catholic Church, and they didn't want any of that. So you look at this, and then you start to see the leadership that is the spiritual leadership of the last days, where you have a false prophet that's going to arise. And I want to say this, I'm not saying the Pope is the false prophet or a Pope will be the false prophet. We don't know yet who the false prophet's going to be. However, when we look at the current Pope, the one that looks like he's dying, when you look at Revelation chapter 13, the Bible describes the false prophet as someone who has two horns like a lamb, but he speaks like a dragon. In other words, he's going to have an outward appearance of being Christian, two horns like a lamb, but he speaks like a dragon. What comes out of his mouth is really of the devil. Jesus himself said, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So you look at what Francis has said over the last several years. He speaks like a devil, but there are people behind him that are far worse. Hard to believe for some of us. But you start looking at this, and again, I'm not saying the Pope or a Pope is the false prophet, but when you look at the spiritual dynamic of things, we certainly have that typology that is out there. As listen, folks, we look at what's going on in the world right now. We see all these different things converging all at the same time. Interesting when you look at Russia, what's happening with Russia, what's happening with Trump. It looks like there is going to be peace, some type of peace agreement between Russia and Ukraine. It's coming, whether anybody wants it or not. It looks like it's coming. And then you start to look at the situation in Israel. What's going to happen with Gaza? What's going to happen with Judea? What's going to happen with Samaria? There's going to be a peace that is going to come there that's going to get Israel to a place of thinking, okay, Russia's not going to attack us. We don't have to worry about Iran anymore. We don't have to worry about even attacks from the inside, Judea, Samaria, or Gaza. Something's got to give that's going to give Israel confidence we're good, hence fulfilling Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 11, when a time when Israel's dwelling in peace and security, or peace and safety. So you look at the convergence of all these different things that are all taking place at the same time. The rise of a digital currency, as we see different world leaders all vying to be the leader at the top of the digital currency world. The race with AI, in fact, it's not even a race anymore. It's just it's forever increasing. You look at where are we going to be by the time 2025 even comes to an end, when you start looking at artificial intelligence and how it's developing. Well, we have AGI, artificial general intelligence, by the end of 2025. Many predictions are out there now saying it'll be by this summer there will be artificial general intelligence. So everything is racing forward to this place of this beast system being built. And you go, the Antichrist can't be that far off. The false prophet can't be that far off. The rapture also can't be that far off. Folks, we live in absolutely amazing days when we see these things developing as fast as they are. All right, moving on from there, speaking of Iran, the Telegraph reports, and this has been all over the news for the last few hours, Iran on high alert amid fears of attack on nuclear sites. Officials say measures are in response to growing concerns of potential joint military action by Israel and the U.S. Iran has put its defense systems around its nuclear sites on high alert amid these fears coming from Israel and the U.S. So we're looking at this closely. We're obviously going to pay a lot of attention to it. But Iran is really the mind and the master behind what's been going on with Hamas and Hezbollah, even the Houthis. You start looking at this, they are the disruptor. They've made it very clear. We want to destroy Israel. They don't believe that the Jews have the right to the land there. They want to eliminate them. Iran wants to be this leader. Saudi Arabia doesn't like Iran. Jordan doesn't like Iran. Egypt doesn't like Iran. But they also have this nuclear capability, it appears. And it seems that right on the verge, at least Iran is very concerned, and we've been reporting on this for a long time, that Israel and the U.S., or Israel or the U.S., is going to eliminate the nuclear problem that would be coming from Iran. folks, you look at this and we start thinking of Ezekiel chapter 38. When that battle takes place, it implies two different things in that text. That the enemy descends upon Israel like a cloud, so it comes from above, but also boots on the ground, because it speaks of horses and bucklers. So could it be that Iran's nuclear facilities are going to be laid waste that would force Iran to have boots on the ground going into Israel? And Russia might be coming from above with a great drone attack or something like that. Also, when you look at Jeremiah chapter 49, as Bill Salas, my friend, has so well pointed out, look, it looks like Iran suffers a severe hit on their nuclear facilities to the point where it just devastates Iran. But also something else takes place in Iran in Jeremiah chapter 49. God says his throne is there in Iran. We know his throne is in Jerusalem, but also in Elam specifically, which is in Iran. So you start looking at this and going, okay, and we know that there's a great turning to Christ within Iran. Many people are turning to Christ. They do not like what their government's doing. They're not on the same page at all. In fact, the greatest revival or greatest awakening, spiritual awakening to the Lord Jesus Christ per capita that seems to be taking place on the entire planet right now is Iran. Second per capita would be China. Just amazing. And many people say that Christianity is a white man's religion. No, it started in the Mideast, it spread throughout the Mideast, and eventually made its way over to Europe. So that's just foolish. But you look at what's happening in Iran right now, folks, we live in amazing days. Iran's on high alert. Certainly if something like this does happen with an attack on the facilities in Iran, the nuclear facilities, we'll keep you updated on that. Also on what's going on with the Pope. Now check this out. LifeSite News reports Rand Paul reintroduces bill to permanently defund Planned Parenthood. I mean, you look at this, we look what Doge has exposed, and now and all of the people, these government offices, things that are funded by our tax dollars. Not, by the way, it's not government funded, it's taxpayer funded. I want you to think of it that way. No longer think of it as government funded. No, this is taxpayer funded. So our dollars that we're going to fund all these absurd things, evil things, wicked things. Did you know that there's $3 million given through USAID to a rapper in Gaza to produce anti-Semitic rap? $3 million, not government funded, taxpayer funded. So Rand Paul, he says, hey, let's defund Planned Parenthood. How do you do that? How about no more taxpayer dollars? And the people who really want to have abortion, well, then they can pay their money to fund Planned Parenthood if they want to. Doesn't that make sense? I don't want my money going there. I'm pretty sure you don't want your money going there. If they want their money go, why should they demand that we pay money to what they want? That makes no sense. If they want something like that, they fund it with their own money. Rand Paul says, reintroduce simple one-page legislation to permanently cut off federal tax dollars to Planned Parenthood, excluding the abortion chain from public funding, regardless of whatever happens with federal abortion policy. I look at this and say, man, this is, for me, this is great. When does life begin? How about our conception? You know, you start looking at this and people, no, so, you know, and then we have abortion after birth. What is that? You know, the wickedness. This goes back to the worship of Molech that God judged Judah and Israel for. Taking a baby and putting it on the arms of Molech in order so they could continue to do their perverted things in the United States. It's so guilty of this. This is not government funded. This is your tax dollars. If people want to pay that out of their own money, let them pay it out of their own money. But why should they take money from you to fund their wants to celebrate their sins? That doesn't make any sense, does it? Listen, thank you for joining me today. Looking forward to seeing you back here tomorrow. God bless.